Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this week's Trade the Chain episode. It is a really exciting day, especially with a little Bitcoin price action almost to the 42,000 mark today. It's January 8th, and we are here with Ryan Gorman, my co-host, along with our crypto analysts, Monty and CJ from MarketRebellion.com. Ryan, let's head into the legal, get that out of the way.
Just a reminder that all information and content provided by Trade the Chain is for informational and educational purposes only. This is not investment advice and should not be construed as such. Trade the Chain is brought to you by Trade the Chain, a 24/7 community of traders in 17 time zones around the world, sharing ideas, sharing victories, and talking about the markets with each other. Using a dashboard that is part of Trade the Chain that shows real-time sentiment analysis, 1-hour price predictions, and has one of the best interfaces in the crypto trading markets. TradeTheChain.com for a 14-day free trial. 14-day trial.
Say it every time, but I'll say it again. I no longer use CoinMarketCap, Trade the Chain, and the sentiment's incredibly valuable, and it's all that I need. And then moving on to Market Rebellion. This is a community of beginning and experienced traders all around the world. And if you want to get trade ideas from Monty and myself on a weekly basis, as well as get access to our macro portfolio, you can sign up at marketrebellion.com/crypto for just $1 for the first month. So if you want to go check that out, again, it's marketrebellion.com/crypto.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, by the way, the charts that we use during the course of this show are from marketrebellion.com. So you'll see a great, nice looking interface there. Okay, let's move on to the big boards. We had an exciting pop a little bit earlier today. I believe we hit the 41,940 range, which was almost 42,000. I mean, I feel like we're blasting through barriers here left and right over the course of the last 2 weeks. Look, Monty's smiling, he's happy. What do we got though? Everybody, the news pieces, CJ seem to be coming out with those doom and gloom headlines now. Just wait for the crash.
Yeah, I'll wait for the pullback. Were his last words. But yeah, so what we're looking at here is a pretty basic hyperwave formation that I've outlined. And we've got Fibonacci targets at 45K and 62K. Those are really the only tentative resistance levels above price currently. And as you can see, we're on the last phase of the hyperwave. I'm expecting a target price of about 45K, but really that doesn't have to occur. We could purge below this wave 4 trend line at any time really now, or we could continue to go up indefinitely until like 62K. Nobody really knows what can happen with all the stimulus that's about to be injected into the market. So we'll just have to kind of hang tight. But what I'm looking for, like I mentioned, is a purge below this trend line because we're already extremely overbought on the weekly. And, this market is just running on fumes based on euphoria, which is pretty great to see, honestly, if you got in early. But I am expecting at some point we will correct. And due to the fact that, institutions have bought quite a lot of Bitcoin at, the early 20,000s, and that does provide a very stable price floor. But I still believe that we are going to be susceptible to a 20 to 25% correction over the course of 3 to 4 weeks following a top. Right now it's looking likely that top will be 45K, but we don't know yet. As of now, there's no reason for me to justify a sell. There would have to be a couple conditions in order for me to sell that I can get into. But I wanna pass things off to Monty first.
Yeah, no, I largely agree with you. One thing that I kind of have just been, like you said, this market's kind of running on fumes here. So one thing that I've just been really relying on during this bull run is just kind of the market sentiment and just kind of gauging that on Twitter, gauging that on Trade the Chain, and just kind of seeing what people think both short-term and long-term for Bitcoin. And it seems like a lot of people are in agreement with you, CJ, that a sort of pullback is almost inevitable. But really, I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday. It feels like the upside potential of this market is just so much higher than the downside potential of a drawback. Like, I mean, we're seeing price predictions from JP Morgan of 149K or something like that. And I mean, that feels realistic. And but so does a 25% drawback. But if you weigh those two options, it feels like a lot better choice to just buy and hope for that that euphoric uptrend to continue than to wait for that pullback and try and get in then. So for me, Bitcoin's still a good buy right now.
If you look at the sentiment board there, sorry, Alex, the coin list. Yesterday that was almost uniformly green with a few bearish signs on the hourly sentiment, of course. Today it's far more neutral, and there have been some issues across some trading venues. Coinbase and Kraken going down yesterday. Others having liquidity issues today. There's a lot of chatter that, well, Bitcoin will, eventually go up to those price targets the JP Morgan set, the potentially the 400,000 that Guggenheim is predicting, which would just be astonishing. But the infrastructure just isn't ready to handle this level of transactions, this level of trading, and this level of buying. I mean, to the extent that there are supply shortages even on exchanges themselves, they can't fulfill all the buy orders, limiting the upside in the short term. When you pair that, sorry, this is a long one. When you pair that with some of the crazy trading that we see on weekends, I feel like that pullback is much more possible or even probable, say, this weekend rather than over the next 3 to 4 weeks, especially if it follows the trend line, CJ, that you've been showing us for the past week or so. I mean, what do you think the odds are that it accelerates that way, since Bitcoin, its movements are just so much more parabolic than the equity markets?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unwrap there, but I think
Sorry.
you're good. I think you make a good point that if the correction is going to happen, it would likely be like within the next week rather than in the next 3 to 4 weeks. We're approaching a lot of significant levels here, both the Fibonacci's that CJ laid out, and then also just the psychological level of 50K. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to be content with taking profits around 50K, and I'm sure there's already a lot of limit sell orders placed around there. So I do think we'll bounce off there. But one thing that I was kind of thinking about when you're asking that question, Ryan, is kind of what effect would that pullback have? And really, like you said, the infrastructure may not be there to kind of provide these ridiculous levels. But if a pullback does start to occur, I think that'd be really, in Bitcoin, I think that'd be really healthy for the altcoin market, because people aren't just going to entirely take their money out, in my opinion. I think they'll start to kind of trickle that money down into ETH and then into the other alts. So yeah, that does seem like a likelihood to me, but like it just feels weird because although a pullback for Bitcoin is somewhat likely, I'm still bullish on the overall crypto market because I don't think this capital is going to come out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, a couple of different things. One, let's not forget that we have open interest in the marketplace right now, a lot of it. We have expiries coming up this month. There's two heavy expiries coming up. One is down at the 20,000 level. The other one is at the 53,000 level. One, I don't think we'll ever see the 20,000 level, but at the same time, I don't want to see the $53,000 level either. Too fast, too soon. It isn't really going to bring anybody happiness and joy with that kind of price action. To your point, Monty, money is not going to leave. There's a lot of money that's trickling down to alts. Alts are being carried up with this wave. There's now $20 billion locked up into DeFi. I think we're going to look for some of those players to have some really good rises, because it can't go anywhere but up. The money flow keeps going in and getting locked. But overall, not so bad. I mean, listen, we have a retracement like phase 5 there on the chart, and it's all about buying. I'm just going to buy in. I'll FOMO myself.
Absolutely a buying opportunity. Buy that dip.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, CJ.
I just wanted to compare when we go by like time frame and the Bitcoin halving cycles. We are currently, right among like these points of where we were in 2016, 2017. We are above the top Bollinger Band for about 5 weeks now, based on the previous bullish price action. So I think it's likely we will ultimately retest, the middle band, because it's just been a commonality in historic cycles. Now, that's pretty low in our current point. That would be 17,000. I think we're going to be at probably somewhere in here in this blue channel of 25, 26K. That would be a nice buying opportunity and a pretty good target level for a potential correction. But it depends, because we could go up to 50K. And if we do that, that just raises this level up to 29 essentially. But that's all I wanted to say.
Listen, if it hits that band at 17, I'm selling everything but my VGX tokens to go all in on Bitcoin.
I mean, there's a significant amount of open interest at 20,000 that should create somewhat of a price floor at that point. So, I mean, that would be a scary pullback, but at the same time, it's not going to go below 20. It shouldn't, at least.
I mean, it is a big metric on the bears and the push down. I mean, the people that Mr. Short hangs out with, those are his friends down there at the $20,000 range. So we'll see if that if that pressure turns this around and flips us to a negative price pattern. I do want to ask though, guys, let's put crypto side by side with just traditional macroeconomics. We, as we've mentioned in the shows previously throughout the month, we have new administration coming in. We have our own issues with stimulus and money printing in the economy. Now, if you're somebody who's also in traditional markets, are there any telltale signs that are popping out at you guys right now in the short term that say, hey, this might affect the crypto markets?
Monty, we were talking a little bit about this. It's, where's the money going to go if it doesn't go into the stock market? Because there's a lot of, Robin Hood traders, so to speak, that CNBC's been making fun of this entire run up. Yet those bulls have made quite a bit of money and have been very profitable. But those are the same people who are owning Tesla and are pushing that stock up, and those types of bulls. I could see them coming into cryptocurrency and doing the exact same thing with DeFi, altcoins, and not to mention also Bitcoin. Now, if both markets if the S&P corrects very strongly, I think there's a chance that Bitcoin would leak into it, but it's hard to say. The money from the S&P is going to go to bullish territory and wherever that is. And I think it's in Bitcoin, but I'm interested to hear Monty's thoughts as well.
No, yeah, I agree. And like you said, that's something we kind of discuss all the time, is like the bulls will look for a market to make money. They'll find one. And yeah, I think the conditions right now for Bitcoin and for crypto in general to succeed are very good in macroeconomically speaking. I mean, with the stimulus coming out, not only obviously does it give people more capital to invest in the Bitcoin, but like Alex said, it kind of reduces the parity of the dollar a little bit, which is great for the thesis of Bitcoin. And it just seems like with all the political uncertainty right now, everything going on in the world, Bitcoin is becoming actually one of the safer hedges against the traditional economy than anything else. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy world that we're living in, where Bitcoin is feeling safer than the S&P, in my opinion.
It's going to be interesting to see. Sorry, Alex, I just want to add one more thing. I think it's going to be interesting to see once we inevitably get some type of correction in the stock market, whether it's in a few years or just in a year, we'll see. But it's always going to be interesting to see whether or not Bitcoin can hold that safe haven asset mantra. So that'll be interesting. But I do know a couple wealth managers who have taken some tech stocks off the table. But in terms of political uncertainty, I think we're really getting past a lot of the uncertainty with the Biden administration coming in. And if you look historically throughout traditional financial market cycles, typically the stock market rallies quite a bit after a new president comes into office. We all remember they referred to this as the Trump bump back in 2016 when the market initially took off. But I think we definitely could test this band in the macro S&P and that landscape. But ultimately, I think we're going to keep going up throughout the next year or so.
If you look at one indicator of stock market valuations and performance, CAPE ratios, last time they were this high, they're at 34.49 right now for the S&P. Last time, they've only gone higher than this once, and that was during the dot-com bubble. And every other time they rose above, say, I don't know, 25, the market's crashed. And we're significantly higher than that right now. So I wonder what the likelihood of a rally going into the Biden administration would be when it's only ever been, CAPE ratios have only been higher than this once before. And they shot up to 45 before the market just absolutely crashed at the end of the dot-com bubble. So I'm not so sure there's going to be a new administration rally with the S&P. I could be wrong, but I mean, this is a pretty reliable indicator.
Yeah, I agree. The fundamentals are not the greatest. I'm just speaking off like historical data and what we've seen in previous administrations. But I think the Democrats are going to do a lot to pump up the stock market, specifically as a result of stimulus. But I mean, this is I'm starting to speculate here.
Uncharted territory, literal uncharted territory.
Let's take a quick look at Ethereum. See what Ethereum's doing. I mean, we're at levels that have just gone to craziness. I love it. I love the fact that unlike 2017, Ethereum now is the feeder into so many cool projects like DeFi and such. Here we go looking at the chart now. I see CJ as a triangle up. What are we looking at?
Well, all of these assets are very largely dependent on Bitcoin. I think since Ethereum's gone so parabolic that the more we go up, the higher the risk becomes to enter an Ethereum long. I think if Bitcoin gets rejected at some of those Fibonacci targets that we highlighted, like 45K specifically, Ethereum will go back to 1100 or will at least go below current price levels. So I'm a little tentative I'm a little cautious to enter an Ethereum long. But let's see what it looks like on the ETH BTC pair. Yeah, so nothing, it's not too bullish on the weekly. It's kind of, we did have a nice pop based on this altcoin rally, but now we're kind of retracing to that middle Bollinger Band. So we'll see what happens. I'm kind of neutral on Ethereum right now. We'll have to see.
Yeah, neutral. I agree with the neutral outlook, but one thing that worked out well for me and is kind of for me a good indication for Ethereum going forward. Yesterday, I set a limit buy order at just above 1,000 because I was just assuming that I didn't think the bears would have enough momentum to break below 1,000. So I set a limit buy order at 1,085, and it actually got filled yesterday.
Wow.
So,
look at you with the little pop in percentage points there in 24 hours.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a successful strategy for traders going forward. If we do get that kind of consolidation in Bitcoin, I think it would follow in Ethereum. And it seems like a great entry point. I don't anticipate price will go below 1,000 anytime soon. So for me, we got a nice price floor of 1,000. Similarly, it seems to me that's going to be as strong as any price floor that we currently have for Bitcoin. So yeah, I'm a bit neutral right now in the short term, but in the long term, I'm still very bullish on ETH.
Do you think that we run the risk of being locked into a range-bound trade for a few months going forward due to the uncertainty surrounding a number of external factors to Ethereum?
There's a lot of, we had a nice show the other day with, Steve, John, and a lot of other really smart technologists. And I think everybody here who's been experienced in the crypto space is aware of the macro flaws in Ethereum, which are kind of remain to be resolved. But I don't think that obviously we have problems with the gas fees in the short term. Alex was talking about how difficult it can become to use Uniswap. But the bulls don't really seem to care. If people can buy Ethereum on Coinbase and on spot exchanges and pump the price up, uh, for this market cycle, I don't know if it's going to play a huge factor. I could be wrong, but that's just what I see currently.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
it's cool because like although Ethereum is facing some technological hurdles currently, like people are still speculating on the future of Ethereum and like will it overcome these hurdles? I mean, there's good reason to assume that with all the intelligent people working on Ethereum, all these great developers, that they can pretty much overcome any obstacle that they face, whether it's high gas fees, network congestion. They've overcome it in the past. So people, I mean, even if the tech isn't currently there, people are still speculating on the future value of ETH. So it has
A lot of people complaining about the gas as of late for transaction stuff. I know that ADA backers are strong proponents of that being the new future and things like that. So I mean, it's going to be interesting for sure, Monty, to see how that plays out. But all right, let's go to our last one of the day. I can't, this is, and I'm going to get yelled at for this, but you cannot ignore. You cannot ignore VGX. And if Ryan does one of those evil VGX laughs again on this show, I'm gonna see, there he goes. I mean, we're looking, we're looking at a token that has done 170% over the last week. It's something like 1,200% for the year. My numbers could be way off, but they'd be conservative. And even though we're at about 40% for the 24-hour right now, because it had a little pullback down from 50 cents to 40 cents, this thing has moved. And a couple of factors. One is we did have Steve on the show last week. He did explain some new tokenomic issues or tokenomic solutions that are in the future. I think in direct response to CJ commentary on the lack of tokenomics, which was very true. As well as also, I believe yesterday he had an online shareholder meeting for VGX itself, for Voyager itself, listed on up in Canada. So I think there's a lot of positive news in the future, both with the token, with the company. You can't ignore it at this point. It's been wonderful. As we mentioned before, we all bought back in and learned our lesson. So short-term technical is okay, a little iffy right now. There's been some profit takers. I don't blame them. You look at that chart; it's been sideways for a long time, and some people just wanted to take some money off the table.
Yeah, no question about it.
I would not blame them for taking money off the table right now. I mean, 50 cents, obviously a significant psychological hurdle to overcome, but also it's just, I mean, that's a ridiculous run up. Like taking profit here seems totally reasonable. But I think this really speaks to something that I think is very important for low market cap altcoins, and that's the value of strong leadership and like the role that a community plays in a token.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, people were upset with the tokenomics. CJ was kind of leading the charge and pitchforks.
I feel bad about that.
Ryan was
like, I wasn't intending.
CJ, hit that 1 hour, hit the 1 hour projection title. Just know go to the coins page. Hit the toggle on the 1 hour.
I think the community bought into Voyager just to stick it to me because I was right alongside CJ with a pitchfork.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Ryan's DMing Steve Ehrlich and he's responding saying like, stay calm, we've got a plan. Like, literally reaching out to the CEO of the company on Twitter and he's reaching back. So like, this is clearly a small project, but I mean, there's good reason to be bullish. The stock's performing well. People are anticipating a bull run in crypto in general, obviously. So when you're speculating on VGX, like, you're not only speculating on the value of the asset itself, but like the role it's going to play in the larger Voyager ecosystem, which a lot of people are anticipating is going to grow based on its performance in the Canadian Stock Exchange. And also just a lot of people anticipating the amount of crypto capital to increase significantly in 2021. So I think VGX is going to have a bullish year.
I'm looking at the Trade the Chain terminal right now. VGX has a relative tweet volume of over 700% and relative trading volume of over 1,200%. It has a 91 score on a very bullish daily sentiment indicator. Right there, it is right now.
That trading 1,200%.
That's
I mean,
incredible.
look at the 1 hour projection. The high end on the 1 hour projection is 23% on the rolling 1 hour. I mean, all right. I don't want to beat a horse to death here, but I was wrong, folks. I shouldn't have sold.
All right, I want to say one last thing, and that's
I was right to sell when I did, but then I got back in at the right time.
it's never too late. You got to be flexible. All good. But we now are almost in the top 100 with VGX of coin market cap as VGX breaks over 100 million in market cap. And the reason why I've highlighted this is because I think people vastly underestimate the potential for growth in Voyager. This asset had a market cap of like 50 million last week, and it's instantly doubled. Comparable tokens of exchanges like Binance and Huobi have market caps in the single-digit billions, and their tokens really don't have any utility other than the name and the reflection of the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So Voyager, if they continue to grow, that extrapolates price to about $30 per coin. That was Rob's initial prediction for Voyager by the end of the cycle. I think that's highly optimistic, but stranger things have definitely happened in crypto. So
that's his Guggenheim 400K prediction.
All right. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to first, we have a winner to pick from our weekly $50 Bitcoin giveaway, which is coming out of Monty's lunch money this week, and it is going to Sleepy Puppy Crypto. Puppy Crypto with the Twitter handle Puppy Sleepy. Do me a favor, Sleepy Puppy Crypto. Go to Twitter, hit me up in DM from your Twitter account, so we could send you this $50 of Monty's lunch money Bitcoin. And for everybody out there, head down in the description. You got 14-day test drive of tradethechain.com, as well as your first month at marketrebellion.com for only $1. We have great communities and great data and great information to further you along on your crypto trading journey. And we will have another episode after the weekend, but happy trading, happy weekend, and we'll talk to everybody later.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.